Do you know I've actually got you saved in my phone as Karate Karl, and it's not karate, is it? It's Jujitsu.
Jujitsu.
What an imbecile! Never
That's
mind.
all right,
So go on, tell
Hello,
us
mate.
about that. So you're black belt. Are you black belt? What belt were you?
I'm a 3rd degree black belt.
Oh yeah.
3rd Dan.
Crikey.
Yeah.
Is it similar to karate?
Similar-ish, yeah, I believe so. I mean, it's self-defense, so they're both self-defense. I know there's a lot more striking in karate. They do a lot more kicking and punching.
Nice.
We tend to do a lot more throwing and grappling. What I do is traditional Japanese jiu-jitsu, but obviously samurais use jiu-jitsu as their unarmed martial art, so it's their unarmed. So when they lost the sword in the battlefield,
Yeah,
that is what they would use to defend themselves with.
You also mentioned you're watching Netflix. Have you been watching Cobra Kai?
Yeah, I love Cobra Kai.
Yeah, it's
I
amazing,
loved the
isn't it?
Karate Kid when I was a kid.
Yeah,
Yeah. And it makes who's you on now?
we're on series 2. Yeah, probably episode 3. So don't tell me
Who
what
do you vote
happens.
for? Who's side? Have you gone with Miyagi or have you gone with Cobra?
This is it, you know. And I was going to ask you what you're most similar to. Me, I'd say I'd have to go Miyagi. I really like the main guy from Cobra Kai.
I've swung to Cobra. I've swung to Cobra Kai. I think he's wrong, but yeah, I think he's funny. He's proper funny.
Yeah, he's hilarious. He's absolutely brilliant. Yeah. He's absolutely brilliant. Yeah, he's absolutely brilliant. But Miyagi karate, I don't know. But as I say, I'd have to go. I'd end up going Miyagi. Yeah.
In real life.
Yeah.
Yes.
Seriously. Have you?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
You want to talk more about that or not really?
Well, not really.
No.
I've used it once for a doorman. He was going to strangle me at some point. He'd gone to strangle me, and I didn't realise he was a doorman because I'd had a few drinks. I put him in an arm lock. I had him pinned up on his toes. He's a great big bloke as well. I told him off because I was drunk, and then and then I realised that after I'd let him go, I'd realised. Bear in mind, I was only about 10 and a half, 11 stone at the time. I was tiny. This guy was at least 3 of me. And as he walked off, I realised that I'd probably be really lucky to escape with my life. But in all fairness, I hadn't embarrassed him. I just pinned him up on his toes. It looked like I was probably just like shouting at him, which I was. I just told him to never effing touch me again. Give him a little pointing at. I might have poked him in the solar plexus a couple of times and told him off, and that was it. And after that, he left me alone. But I did notice he stayed within 15 metres of me the rest of the night. Wherever I was, he was 15 metres away from me. And I was expecting to get my head kicked in when I left. But no, he left me well alone. So I must have just done enough to frighten him. Admittedly, I could have snapped his arm.
Yeah.
It was kind of, I just reacted and something happened.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel lucky to get away with it, really. But it was quite cool.
So what I was going to do is today I just wanted to do like a bit of an intro, really, like how we met, and journeys from what we did to becoming a driving instructor. So
yeah, far away.
So we met basically, didn't we, when we were trained? We trained together.
Did, yeah. We both on it because we did our part 2, and then we both went off and passed that, didn't we? So we did our part 2 of our 8 hours training, didn't we? Our massive 8 hours training. Well, we got in the car with Andrea, didn't we? And she just turned around and said, remember, because I drove first, didn't I? And she said, "Oh, that wasn't too bad. I'd only driven 10 minutes around the corner. You only made 6 mistakes." It's like, and it's like, oh right, that's brilliant. Only 6 mistakes.
And mine, oh my god, it was terrible. It was dire. Mine was. It was absolutely. I just couldn't believe it.
I think my favourite bit of that was when we did the reverse Bay Park at the end, and I said I was struggling with it, blah blah blah, and you said, "Oh, well, it's dead easy. I'll do it." Oh, go on, you go first then. You went first. You couldn't get it in. And that's what I was trying to say. It's easy when there's cars there. When you're just aiming for lines. It's a different ball game.
I didn't have a clue. Couldn't believe it.
I'll find that problem.
How did you do it then? Because you've just said we've done it slightly differently. So go on. How did you do yours while you were training?
So I know when I did my PDI, obviously I did my PDI and then I sat back a bit and all I did was I took on 5 clients. I only took 5 clients on.
How did you get the clients?
1 or 2 were friends or people I know because I teach at the universities. I teach other things, teach Jiu-Jitsu and martial arts at the university. So I picked up the odd person there. And then I also went around the university and distributed a few flyers here and there. Do you know what I mean? Like you do. And I picked up a few clients from there. Once I got to like 5, that's all I wanted, because then it was just for the training purpose rather than the teaching side. You know, I mean, it's just to get the practice in,
Yeah.
so that I could pass that part 3, because I didn't want to do that part 3, because I know that's the other thing that's a bit scary when you get to that part 3 part, is the fact you've only got those free lives as such, and then you got to wait another 2 years.
Yeah.
So I wanted to pass it first time. I wanted a grade A, to be honest with you, as well.
Oh, I'm me, mate. I'm me. I would have loved it. I don't think it's possible to get a grade A as a trainee, though.
That's what I had to do my exam in Macclesfield, didn't I? Because they cancelled mine the day before in Stoke. So I went all the way up to Macclesfield. And what they said to me, the lady that did mine, she turned around and said, "I never give a grade A on the first test. You get your grade when you do your standards check." And I thought, oh, that was great. So no matter what I'd have done, I'd still got a grade B, even if it would have been perfect.
I was 2 marks off a grade A, and he didn't say that to me, but everyone else has said it's pretty much, no, impossible. But who knows? Can I just pause you for 2 seconds there? What I didn't touch on is, go on. What did you used to do, Karl, before you were a driving instructor?
Cool. I knew this was coming as well. Before I became a driving instructor, I was a personal trainer originally, and then what happened was I fell into the NHS. So I did cardiac rehabilitation in Kent, and I went from that into end of life care, working in palliative. So I worked in hospices, which I only did for about a year. It was too upsetting, if I'm deadly honest.
Yeah.
I had people that I trained in the gym. I'd actually taught them, then come in, and obviously I'd change roles. Then they would come in with melanomas, skin cancers, which would then they got second Mets.
Yeah.
So they'd end up with brain and lung cancer as well for it, and they would die. And they'd have kids playing in the gardens. I'd be in the gym downstairs, and I'd see their kids playing outside in the garden. They were younger than me. They were only in the 30s. And yeah, it's just heartbreaking. So I couldn't do it. And I'm so glad that sounds really horrific now, but I'm so glad that I'd left when I left, because I left in the October, and obviously the COVID came out in the January, didn't it? Realistically, we had COVID patients within our hospitals within the February, although they never disclosed that.
No.
But I'd left in the October. So the reason I'm glad is, obviously I'm not bothered about working with anyone, but I would probably have had to moved out of my family home had I stayed working in hospitals for at least 6 months, I should imagine.
Really?
Because we had my mother-in-law staying with us at the time. She was in her 70s. There's no way she'd have wanted me anywhere near the house. If I bear in mind, I would have been working respiratory as well. That's what the ward I was working on, was respiratory wards.
Yeah.
So I was working with all the patients that had problems with the breathing and stuff like that anyway.
Yeah.
So imagine I would have ended up with all the COVID patients. So I would have been pretty much a COVID ward. So it would have been, to me, it would have been pretty horrific, and I would have probably had to have left the house.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I
Kind
would
of meant to be almost.
about that. Well, I know a lot of my friends that worked in the hospital. I've actually had 2 of my work colleagues have both died from COVID.
Oh, really? I'm sorry about that, mate.
Yeah, it's okay. The colleagues, it's one of those things, occupational hazard, unfortunately. But yeah, I've had various things. But yeah, one of them died in Kent, and I've known one at Stafford Hospital also died. A nurse died at Stafford as well.
Oh.
Both of COVID or both. Yeah, that was in the first lockdown.
That's terrible.
So yeah, I've not really. Yeah, it's disgusting, mate. Yeah. But yeah, that's when we had the inappropriate PPE. So I'm quite glad, like I say, it sounds horrible, but my own selfishness on this front, I was kind of glad that I just left in time.
So
you were?
I was. Crikey, I've done all sorts of. I mean, I started off years ago as a butcher. Then I worked in a pub, barman. Worked my way up to assistant manager, and then decided it was time for uni. Jumped ship to uni and ended up teaching. Oh, don't want to talk about that anymore.
What age kids were?
Pardon? It was secondary school.
Secondary.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, the teaching side of it I really enjoyed. The teaching was great. You know, there's only so many times they can call you, a dickhead or whatever else. It's water, then it's water off a duck's back at the end of the day, and you laugh. the politics, it was the marking. Oh God, I hate taking work home. I was never good at homework myself at school, so why would I want to take other people's home? You know, it was like, oh. Anyway, so moved on to sales. Sales was really competitive, medical sales. Always been a bit entrepreneurial. My wife always said, Josh, you should have your own business. I guess mainly because I hated having a boss. Just couldn't stand having a boss. And maybe I'm a bit selfish, but in my head, I always had the why am I making them more money than me? A big issue for me. It always has been. So I always wanted my own business, but it was a case of what skills, what could I do? And eventually, it was a case of, well, I could do driving instructor. Still got the teaching, which I really enjoyed, and it's my own business. I've got no boss apart from my wife. So yeah, so that's why I ended up going down that road, and I've never looked back. I can honestly say. So yeah, would you have what's your top tip for anyone training to be a driving instructor?
Be prepared. Be prepared to put the hours in, the work in. Don't think that just because you can drive a car and you've driven for years that it's going to be a doddle, because that'd be the top tip for me. Is make sure that you learn. You listen to the teacher, and you go away and practice what they're saying to you. Don't just think it's a doddle. And that's that simple. That would be my top tip. Just make sure you're listening to everything you learn and go away and practice it. Don't just go, oh yeah, I know it now. You need to actually go away, practice what they've told you, and make sure you're nailing it as well. Because if you can't drive, or you want them to drive, there's no point in doing it. Because you need to. I don't know about you, but the way I drive now is totally different to the way I was driving prior to doing the training.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yes.
I drove like putting it bluntly, a bell end.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I was driving
You were number one.
close to the car.
I was number two.
I was one that sat right behind. When I sat right behind cars, I was one of those that sat right. I never left I was never tiled and tarmac, sat behind the car. I barely.
Rage.
Nowadays, when I come off a roundabout, I'm checking my left mirror, I check my right. Do you know what I mean? I didn't check mirrors when I came off a roundabout. Did I? I used to just use that. I didn't even know he had side mirrors. And he used to use these. Then it was generally just the one on the right.
Yeah.
So yeah. But yeah, I'd say I drive so much better now. The missus even says, "Wow, this is so much smoother than how I used to drive," because you don't realise until you actually look at yourself and realise. So that would be what I'd say. What's your top tip?
My top tip really would be to make sure that you research a number of different companies and trainers before starting. And if you think you've done enough research, spend another 2 to 3 days doing more research. Look at all the companies, look at all the options out there. Look for some YouTube videos, look at whatever you can find before committing. Because once you're committed and you sign that contract and you hand your money over, you are done for. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, because maybe you've got the right one. But I've had too many horror stories of people picking the wrong one and then having to fork out a load of extra money.
I also think it's worth considering trying to do it on your own as well. You actually put the hours in, do the training, your theory side of it, and then maybe just pay. Find yourself an approved driver, audit registered driving instructor, and do the training with them and do what they charge you. And shop around the way again. Shop around and check reviews as well, or check around, find other people that have used them. You know what I mean?
So just so that's nice and clear, basically with the driving instructor test, there's 3 stages. There's stage 1, which is the theory test. It's a driving instructor theory test. You can do that on your own by getting a couple of books, the Highway Code and another book, or you can go online. I did it online, or you get an app. You can literally do that on your own. I think the test was it £70?
Or £80. I think it's £80, isn't it? £80 for the first part one. I think it's
either way, not the end of the world, and you can do it on your own, no problem at all. I say no problem. It took me 2 attempts, so almost no problem. Part 2, again, you can do this on your own. Well, I say on your own. Ideally, you can pick any driving instructor at all. Just check Google, whatever you want. Find any driving instructor that's capable. But find a capable driving instructor. As I say, we did this in 8 hours. 8 hours training.
Yeah, which is technically 4 hours because we both sat there watching each other, and also you take out the lunch break as well. Although
with 8 hours of lessons with any driving instructor, you can be ready. It's just to clear up any bad habits, and it's just basically part 2 is just a normal driving test, but it's an hour instead of 40 minutes. And you've got 6
On
maneuvers.
that, can I just on that? Would you could do the 8 hours again? Would you do it? Would you do 2 hours a week, 4 hours a week? Would you do it in more than one session? Or would you just do one day?
I would do 2 lots of 4 hours. 8 hours for me is too long. We both know the attention span, it was just, by the end, it was just, what's the point?
That's okay. That's what I was going to suggest. That's fine. I'll let you carry on.
Definitely.
That's what I would suggest as well. Break it into small chunks, chunking it.
That's it. Part 3. Now, this is the hard bit, and I'm not just saying it. You are going to need maybe 70 hours of extra training for this, teaching a pupil. And the best form of training for myself would have been to have someone, a student, to actually and have a trainer watching me teach. And by that way, I would have learned a lot quicker myself, which we did do in the end. But I had to pay for that privately, but that's what we did in the end, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, you did. I like I said, I just did my thing, but I just made the most of what I had, and any tips that I got, I would use, and anything I could get. Another good thing to do, another good resource, simple resource that we had. If you can get into your local driving instructor meetings,
Oh yes.
Once you've got your partner, fantastic, because you can get little bits of information off other instructors, and you just get ideas. On things you can do to improve as well. To help, which I found was a really useful resource, because we both got invited along to the ones around here, which were really useful, I think. So yeah.
Absolutely right, Karl. The weekly or monthly meetings were absolutely brilliant. We're all driving instructors. It can be quite a lonely job otherwise. You've got no one else, and I love that part of it, because I've got no boss and no one to answer to, and no co-workers that I don't get on with. So it's nice to go to the weekly meetings and discuss. Maybe you're struggling with a certain style of teaching with someone, or but it's a good catch up. It's more learning, and it's what, between £2.50 and £5, which is going to come out of your tax anyway. So I would 100% recommend going to that.
The only way that could be improved is if they'd held it in a pub.
Yes.
If they'd held it in a pub, I could have had a nice half or a pint. Would have been fantastic. Well, that's just
You'd have to pick me up.
Honest, if it was held in a pub, we'd probably both get a taxi there.
Yes, definitely.
Another little tip, and then I'm going, would be if you get on with the person, like obviously I got with Josh, he's when we did our training, but it's also useful when you have those little bits, like we said, it is a lonely job. It's nice to be able to just ring someone up and say, oh, this has happened. Has this ever happened to you? Because at least you get that little bit of feedback, and it does help, because you do need that sometimes to make sure it's not the world that's getting at you. It's just the way it is.
Absolutely, and we've got WhatsApp groups, we've got Facebook groups. Me and Karl talk a lot over the phone. It's nice, so you don't feel lonely. If you get stuck in a situation, where you're struggling with something, because everything's learning. Every day is a school day, wouldn't you agree?
Yeah. And every day's different. Even
absolutely,
a client that you've seen one week, totally different another week when you give them a new subject.
Yeah.
A new little thing, any little thing. If something changes, it just, you can throw everything out, can't it? All your training. So it's nice just to have that feedback. Oh, has this ever happened to you? Have you ever had this driving fault? Have you ever had this steering fault? It's just nice to be able to relay that back to each other.
Absolutely. AA have kicked out a load of driving instructors because they're getting a bit upset. Yeah. So we can talk about that next time if you're game.
Yeah, that's disgusting. Now what they've done to them, isn't it?
Yeah.
10K, and they're charging 10K. They're charging them. I can't believe they were charging them 300 quid or 200 quid a week, whatever it was, when they're not working. Disgusting without a car. That's awful.
Sounds like you've got a little bit to say on that. So, is there a day next week that you're free?
Yeah, we'll do it again. Do you want to do next Friday again?
Sounds good.
Next Friday good, because we missed off Friday, so it works.
Yeah. No? Have you ever had to use your jiu-jitsu? Well, moving on, should we just say that the trainers are absolutely fantastic, and I'd advise them to anyone. In fact, they're what got me past between both of them. They were absolutely lovely, and they weren't anything to do with the company. So absolutely, you agree, would you?
I'd agree. Yeah, I did have Sal did say that I should have private lessons, blah blah blah, but I didn't. I stuck to my guns and thought, no, I'm not going to do that. So I actually, where you had a few extra hours tuition, I didn't bother. I just actually stuck to the rigid training that they given me.
Yeah,
and just passed anyway. But it was even said to me, because I spoke to her more recently, and she said, no, I said, oh, I'd like to say thank you, blah, blah. She said, well, it wasn't me that did anything. It was you. You actually made that happen. I didn't make anything happen. You actually went out there and did it because she said, you just had the training that you were given.
Yeah.
You still managed to do it. So, yeah, so well done to you.
The test is so hard. So just in case anyone doesn't know, the driving test for instructors, you get 3 attempts. Got 3 attempts, and after 3 attempts, you cannot become a driving instructor. You cannot take the test again for at least 2 years. That's right, isn't it, Karl?
Yeah.
Yeah.
3 lives, and that's it.
3 lives, and you're out. See you later. Game over.
Again. Then if you don't do that third part, you have to do all 3 parts, don't you? You can't just go back to doing the third part. You have to do the theory test, part 2, which is your driving test, but an hour long with more manoeuvres, and your part 3.
Yeah. And as I've mentioned already, between £2,500 just on the basic. Then you got the tests on top, which are at least 100. The second 2 are around £100 each. And then chances are you're going to need extra lessons. Most people have around 70 hours of lessons to become a driving instructor. So looking at least probably an extra 30 hours on top of you're already paid £2,000. So and lessons are between £30 and £40 an hour. It's not a cheap graft. It's quite stressful. And the test pass rate was. Go on, carry on.
30%, isn't it? Is it 30%?
Yeah, I was going to say, 33%, I believe, last time I checked. So you should hopefully just about pass on your 3rd attempt on average.
And we did all right, though. We both passed first time.
First time passes. Whoop, whoop.
Yeah, well done us. But yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah. But I think that's partly down to the instructor we had, though.
Definitely.
Because
they're both brilliant. I mean, I remember the day before my test, I was having one more lesson with her, and I said, do you think I'm going to pass? And she said, I think you've got a chance. Just like, what? What? I've got a chance?
They don't commit to anything.
Oh,
they don't commit to anything.
I was like,
instead it's like,
yeah. Like that. Do you think I should not do it then? Got a chance? No, you've got a chance.
What do you think on the new style thing? Why you're there? The fact that they've changed the test and the way they're going to do it now.
Oh, you're on about, so basically you shouldn't be stopping the car as much, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the fact it's been changed for an hour to 45 minutes when you do it, and they're going to join. So whereas we used to do a debrief at the beginning of the lesson, so you do a 5-10 minute debrief of what your lesson's going to be about, blah blah blah, discuss it with your client. That's out the window now. So they almost walk in and you just summarize what's been said and what you're going to do, just so they can hear. And then they're almost joining you after you've done the debrief and you've done 15 minutes and you've done like 15 minutes driving as such, so that they've corrected all the mistakes.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, Karl, I don't really have a problem with it, because it doesn't matter how long you do it for. They're going to know straight away whether you're doing what they want to see, as far as I'm concerned. It doesn't matter how long the lesson is. They want to make sure that you're correcting those mistakes, don't they? We know big time. If they make a mistake and you let that go, you're done for, pretty much. And so they want to see that you're not doing that.
Yeah, I was going to say, though, the only trouble with that is, I was thinking about this the other day, is you've only got 5 minutes, haven't you?
Yeah.
You've got 5 minutes where you can stop them. So you could stop them for a minute, have a discussion. But if you get someone, say your client's particularly nervous that day or gets a bit chatty, or they might have a little breakdown, do you know what I mean? Like a little, like, oh, I can't do this, I've had enough, do you know what I mean? I don't know if you've had it where I've had clients just get out of the car and they've had to say, right, I just need to take 5 minutes and have a cigarette. So it's like, all right, then just get out and have a cigarette.
I tell them just to pull over, yeah.
Then I'll stand outside and chat with them while they're having a cigarette, you know what I mean? And we'll just talk about it then rather than letting it build up. Yeah. But yeah, so it's like, you let's do that and you drive to, it's like, all right then, yeah, just you have your fag, go on. But I was thinking about it, maybe you could, because you're actually outside the car, so you're actually nowhere near, so you're not actually breathing in anything, are you? You're not going to be coughing all over each other or anything.
No, and absolutely, and
just a tricky one.
There's the trainers that I've spoken to, the top level driving instructors like Sal, etc. They've said you do what you normally would do. If you need to pull someone over, because the rack depends on the area. Where I am in Newcastle, there's roundabouts. It's roundabouts heaven. Do you know what I mean? Where you are, I think Longton, Cobridge, that sort of area, it's more traffic lights, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, you say that. I do most of my lessons over in Newcastle.
Oh yeah.
Anyway.
Oh, I apologise.
Yeah. So I do most of mine. It's only 5 minutes from driving from here anyway. So I'm in Fenton now, so it's only 5 minutes on the road, so it doesn't really make any difference. So yeah. But I do most of my lessons in Castle anyway. It's Trent Vale. Trent Vale. It's not really Castle, is it? It's Trent Vale. Once you're in Clayton, it's Clayton, isn't it? So, but I have the same thing. So I was actually thinking with roundabouts. I think my hot tip for that at the moment would be the fact that it's specifying which part of it is that you need to get on the roundabout. Do you know what I mean? What is it they want to get out of that roundabout?
Yes.
Do they just want to? Are they after just exiting? Are they just after entering a roundabout? Do you know what I mean? It's finding out. It's cutting it right down into little bits in it to make sure that we're nailing that little part. And then once we've nailed that little part, then we can discuss another goal. But I mean, you think 45 minutes, I'm pretty sure 45 minutes will probably be good for entering or merging, roundabout merge would be. I mean, if I was an examiner, I'd fail them for it as well, because what annoys me is you sort it completely out, don't you, your customers or clients, and then bang, on the day of the test, I'm really sorry.
Fall apart.
I don't know why I did it. I don't know why I did it. Yeah. But I just went into that lane. It's not,
As you say, I completely get it, because you wouldn't drive down a country road or a motorway and you wouldn't drive down a country road and just creep across into the other side of the road when a car's coming, would you? You know, it's you're asking for a problem, so you can't do that on a roundabout.
I'm lately. Yep. Far away.
Sorry, I was just going to say, but I haven't actually said to anyone. In case you didn't know, driving instructors have to do a standards check. We talked about standards checks earlier, didn't we? When you've first passed, you've got a standards check within 6 months. Now, I say that, me and Karl have been driving instructors just over a little bit over a year. Yeah, year and a half, give or take.
I've just finished my year. My year was the end of January, so I've just done 1 year.
Okay. You meant to have one after 6 months. Because of the whole COVID situation, we haven't had one yet. But yeah, once you get your standards checked, you then get a grade A or a grade B. Just shows what level of driving instructor you are. Doesn't make a great deal of difference. If you get a grade B, though, you do have another standards check. Is it 12 months, Karl?
I believe it's within a year or 2 years, and then we have to wait. I think if you get a grade A, you've got within 4 years, isn't it? Yeah. So it makes our life easier as well if you get a grade A, because you've got to wait 4 years to do that.
Absolutely. So grade A means you don't have to get another standards check for possibly 4 years. So it is it is quite important to us, and it also it shows you what level you are as a driving instructor, and encourages us to continue our training ourselves.
Although we both have done CPD courses, haven't we, in preparation for
got one next week, Karl.
Standards check. So
I've got another one next week.
What?
CPD course.
Yeah, I thought about doing it, but the trouble with next week is it's half term. So the missus is working, so I'm definitely gonna have the kids. Do you know what I mean? I can't get rid of anywhere next week, no matter what I do. So there's no point me attempting it. So yeah. So no, Sal did send me some dates, and it's like, well, I can't do any of them, so I just didn't get back to her. I feel really rude, but it's like, well, can't do those dates.
Oh,
you know, so it's like,
happens.
pointless.
It is what it is, isn't it? It is what it is.
Yeah.
So.
The question.
Pardon?
The question. Did all that coursework, did all that writing down and stuff, just to do tests.
Yes.
Maybe they just said, if you can get 100 over 80 in this test, then you can do it. And it's like, I thought, oh wow, so I spent all that time writing all that stuff down, when all really I needed to do was practice these tests for a few days. Well, obviously highway code, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And what's really frustrating, Karl, is I actually did start off doing that. I actually did the test. I did the theory. Then the guy that I was originally planning to go with, I couldn't get hold of him. So I was like, right, well, what can I do? I want to be a driving instructor today, not tomorrow, not the day after, and I can't get hold of the guy. So I happened to get hold of this company, and they made me do the theory test crap online, even though I'd already passed. I call it crap because I'd already passed it. I'd passed the theory test. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it was annoying. I found it frustrating. That was the most frustrating part for me. And then obviously when you went on to the part 2 training, I enjoyed the part 2 training, but to me, if I did it again this is where you'll probably agree, I don't know, is I would have stuck by just going with an instructor and doing it in the car, because I found it really difficult. The fact that we were doing it online and you got little things to do. I think it would have been more fun if I'd spent more time in the car. Actually, like, the bowl of water thing and stuff like that, the stuff you can do would have been more of a laugh with someone else in a car.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It would have been more fun to see what you were both doing. And plus, you pick up more, because you pick up, even when you're just sitting in the back, you're actually watching what the other person's doing, or listening, even if you're not watching. Because a lot of the time we're both sitting on our phone doing other stuff, weren't we?
Yeah.
But you'd know what was going on. You'd, like, as soon as they said something that perked your ears up, you both go, "Oh, what's going on now?"
Hey. Like meerkats, weren't we?
Yeah. But I'd have found that more beneficial, and I think I'd have got more out of that. Personally, that's how I feel. Definitely with the part 3, I would have definitely got more out of it. Although I did enjoy the training with us, but I would have enjoyed it. I enjoyed it more, should I say? It sounds horrible. When we actually had a person that we were actually teaching in the car, because that was when you were getting genuine feedback, as opposed to us. For instance, we had the same instructor again. And when she was acting like a teenager and things like that, you know what I mean? Or when she asked me to stop the car that time, the fact that we'd just been discussing emergency stops, she then said, stop me when I blah, blah, blah. So I stopped the car, which I don't think anyone was ready for.
No, I certainly wasn't quite prepared for that. You definitely did an emergency stop there, didn't you? I mean, that was a solid emergency stop.
But yeah, I would have found it more interesting if we'd gone along those lines. So if I did it again, I'd definitely go. I'd have paid for an instructor and just gone with them.